the biggest event in Cardano, is now just days away. This is just such a significant historical turning point for the blockchain. And this scalability upgrade that's found in Vasile is really big in doing that, and it has such a meaningful impact on the macro on the zoomed out book of Cardano, which is where Cardano is looking to solve the trilemma in cryptocurrency and look to really innovate in the crypto space and make an impact on the world. It makes such a significant difference. It is important to emphasize this. But I say that because there is so much short-term speculative activity surrounding this upgrading. Many individuals, in my opinion, want to believe that a significant upgrade is on the horizon. Let's observe its effects. Perhaps it will only alter the game. And the moon is just moon. And, that's something we've actually talked about, that kind of mindset and the data surrounding it, right? We've already established, and it's right here on the screen, that these events seem to be very beneficial for Cardano in bull markets. Right. In these bullish environments, you can see going into these hard fork events. Just now, ADA outperformed. It fared remarkably well. And we have been monitoring that story to see how it will fare as the VESA hard fork approaches in a bear market. You can clearly see that it did not act or behave erratically as it did in bullish environments. However, if you look at an ADA BTC pair, have a look at this BTC. On this daily chart, it has been holding steady since May 2022. The VESA hardware may be the reason for this. So, even while it isn't mooning and hitting all-time highs or anything outlandish like that, it appears to be holding on pretty firmly. And the question is, from a basic standpoint, could Cardano actually be significantly less than it is without everything else going on? Now, it may definitely be the case. Aside from that, I wish to draw attention to this. And in fact, this is what just occurred. This is a theory that is on the daily chart and that has just experienced the largest event in its own history. It has literally gone from evidence of work to proof of stake. And the chart appears as follows. And it may have been an attempt to sell the news in some way. However, generally speaking, pretty much following the rest of the cryptocurrency markets, nothing extraordinary on the short term, but just like we just discussed, and for Vasile for Cardano, for the long term, the meaningful impact that's their Ethereum. And the recent events have had a significant effect on the macro in the long run. However, we cannot deny the reality that everyone in this industry is so new that it has $1 trillion market cap overall. Right. So there are greater things when we're zoomed in, especially that are playing into the moves in every crypto, the price moves of every coin. And the biggest thing that we can look at right now is what's going on. What are those big things that are impacting it before we dive into the ADA charts and talk about Vasile coming up? What I'm looking at anticipating in terms of ADA price. This is S&P 500 index. You cannot ignore it. We cannot ignore this. This is what markets are tracking. And everything is based on the narrative and story that are being told right now from a variety of perspectives all across the world. You can see that the S&P 500 index chart is currently testing a higher low Fibonacci level from the swing low in June to the previous swing high, which I will be personally monitoring. I'm interested to see how the Fibonacci sequence holds up, especially as we approach the upcoming week, because it affects Cardano. It benefits the Bitcoin industry. This situation plays into ADA in particular because of Cardano's Vasile hard fork on the 22nd. Guess what rate increases will take place the day prior, on the 21st? So markets the significant impact role that they play in Cardano? In my opinion, it's not really a match for Vasile's hard fork in the short term, as Fed seen rising to 4% in 2022 and signaling higher for longer. Analysts anticipate a 475 basis point increase next week. Thus, everyone is anticipating a 75 basis point increase. If that occurs, it may have already been factored into the markets. If so, the markets may actually turn positive and right the following week, which would be beneficial for ADA. Rates are expected to remain at their top in 2023 as the Fed fights inflation, given the severe hard fork that is currently taking place, which we'll track and discuss in a moment. So from the perspective of cryptocurrencies, I believe we should start paying attention to this kind of larger narrative. However, if we move over here to the ADA charts, this is what we can see when we zoom out. We're going to go into this green box and what's going on in this specifically in the future week, so I want to start here because it's crucial. But I simply must zoom out, it's in my nature. And since I haven't done this, I feel like I should just zoom out for a moment and have a look at this image. I am aware that there are cues and other things going on. But take a look at this image. The ADA is currently 46 cents, and these are not set for a specific period of time. I'm not claiming that it will affect these locations in 2023. However, consider this. A $500 billion market cap is equal to a $15 ADA. That keeps going. My mind continues to be blown by this, so I was just thinking about it. With a market cap of $500 billion and a $15 ADA, Ethereum has a history with this market cap. That's it. For Cardano to arrive, Ethereum has already been there. It strikes me as being really feasible, especially as I believe Cardano to be successful. As we prepare to zoom in on these charts, I want to draw attention to that. The market cap is then $31,831.08 or $1 trillion. I believe it will come into play later. I believe that what Cardano is doing and what is feasible on Cardano are both possible. I just wanted to say that about blockchain. And with that, let's zoom out. We're all constantly looking at the charts, so always zoom out if you're a macro investor or are in it for the long run, especially when we start to zoom in. When will the bear market end for cryptocurrency, as we're all attempting to escape it? We are monitoring it in the short term because of this. It keeps us incredibly alert. It keeps our minds alert so that we are aware of our own accumulation. How am I acting? What this is really about is whether or not I am at ease with it at any given time and am prepared. As a result, if we look at Cardano on the weekly, we can see that we are in the green box and that the Vasile hard fork is still a few days away. And we're also just barely over this enormous macro support, which is a trend line that dates all the way back to 2018. We are aware of the procedure. That has been a subject of much discussion. And if you look at this chart all the way back to 2018, you can clearly see the dotted yellow line. After that, we go deeper into the charts. And this is where the origin of all these ADA-related narratives lies. Here is a headline that explains why the price of Cardano may be about to drop once more. In fact, this article continues to discuss a recent descending triangle pattern that Peter Brandt, one of the most well-known technical analysts, recently plotted for ADA. Therefore, that is what is being discussed here. It puts the Vasile update and everything else that is happening in context. I believe you have also improved it to do this. But generally speaking, midterm, there could be a big dip coming based on the descending triangle, and I wanted to bring that up because when we're looking at the 8 charts, he's showing a descending triangle there, right? And a descending triangle would consist of really a flat, lower trend line and then a descending upper trend line. You are all aware that we have been monitoring this lower trend line. And it's been very little for me, but it's been greater lows at the lower trend line. And it kind of crams ADA into this ascending triangle with its lower highs. We are close to the top. And we've been monitoring it, but here's the thing, it doesn't matter whether many people agree with Peter Brandt or disagree with him, he is a highly well-liked analyst. He is unaware, no one is aware. You know, I believe I was staring at renowned TV personality Jim Cramer. His stock picks had a victory percentage of about 51% historically, according to my calculations, which I believe were made using data from the prior 3 months or something similar. But nobody is aware, is my argument. In any case, the descending triangle and symmetrical triangle that we have been studying are present here, with the apex area following closely behind the Vasile heart for ascending. And now it's merely preparing to perhaps move. The difference between a move to the upside that is close to $1 in the dollar range and a move to the downside that is below 30 cents is as follows. So, after a long day, prepare that. That is the final conclusion. Right? Right, in the short to mid-term, prepare for both of those possibilities, but ultimately, no one can predict with certainty what will happen. But that's not what I wanted to talk about in this video. There are currently a few things in play that I'm anticipating, within the context of those two aims, naturally. So the first is this. We must not overlook the S&P 500. Here, we cannot ignore the headline news. In light of the fact that markets are already kind of saying, hey, we're pricing the 75 basis point hike that's coming on Wednesday, this is my top concern at the moment. We are prepared for it. And there isn't really a negative response, correct? Perhaps there has even been a good reaction as the S&P 500 is rising off of this region, recognizing some advantages. I'm actually looking at ADA charts in that case. And I'm saying that ADA has held up fairly well, especially in recent weeks and months. You can see proof of that, once again, on the ADA BTC pair, where it has held up fairly well. So, if the traditional markets are improving, I also have to include this. We are waiting to see what happens if the US dollar index, for which I have a chart, begins to consolidate downward. If this begins to sort of trickle down, next week could be a really strong one for cryptocurrencies. And if that is the case, and if next week is a big week for cryptocurrencies, I believe that there is a good chance that ADA will actually outperform to the upside in the short term in terms of cryptocurrencies. This is theoretical, so we'll have to wait and see what occurs. But that's one possibility I'm predicting for the coming week, especially since ADA is, once more, sort of consolidating in the pattern we've been talking about, and it's very close to the apex. Thus, for ADA, everything comes together exactly at the triangle's tip. On the other hand, if ADA declines, it will probably be due to the S&P 500's poor performance. Additionally, depending on what the coming week holds, the US dollar currency index may reach a new high. But if ADA is falling, everything will depend on this, which is why we prepare. But this is what I'm looking out for with ADA in a setting where it's declining. We just discussed the case in which it is increasing and even outperforming, and I want to make that clear because I know it appears in this video that I am merely stating, hey, ADA is going up or down. However, I want to see two outperforming in both cases. That is the main thing I am keeping an eye out for. ADA is therefore outperforming markets. This implies that it will just be sailing to the upside on the ADA to BTC pair. But even on the downside, if markets are falling, I'm really keeping an eye on this chart. It's a Bitcoin chart, and it's very uncertain what will happen, but we've been tracking it in my opinion because it has the potential to form a head and shoulders setup with the right shoulder being the head and the left shoulder being the left shoulder, and the right shoulder being the weak right shoulder to me at the right below the neckline here, a downward sloping neckline. It sort of proves to me that this is ADA BTC pair, incidentally. ADA should be stronger than Bitcoin, right? It demonstrates that the bear's right shoulder, which is coming down significantly before retracing back up to the neckline, is not particularly strong. The bulls are continuing to apply some upward pressure to the right shoulder because it is rather weak. The inverse head and shoulders neckline really has a break above the head before returning to the neckline. So moving into next week, I'm extremely interested in this chart to see how the strength of ADA is holding up in a macroeconomic climate that is likely to be favorable. And it also applies to conventional markets. How is it faring in a bearish climate for all charts, including equity markets, traditional markets, and everything else? I believe that this chart from ADA BTC will effectively illustrate the point. Because the USD chart is still being squeezed despite everything else going on, this is arguably the most fascinating chart to watch for ADA the following week, along with this one. Naturally, as I shoot the video, the 20-day moving average is below that, and I must once more draw attention to the support region. The support level for ADA on this USD is therefore that macro yellow trend line there, and then it is this shorter-term white trend line of higher lows, as you can see. I want to emphasize that this is back to the neckline for ADA on the ADA BTC pair, which is where it was when I was filming the video. We're also looking at 6 to 7% in that region. It will therefore be intriguing to observe what he does with each of these areas. The events taking place, whether it's the Ethereum hard fork or the Cardano Visa hard fork this coming week, are important events, but they're more potent and influential there. I can't stress this enough for everyone. The macro and macro tale of what's happening on a fundamental level and how that affects pricing, particularly when the next bull market gets underway. I believe that the Cardano Visa hard fork, which introduced this scalability enhancement, would enable Cardano to significantly outperform much of the cryptocurrency industry, particularly the upcoming bull market. And that's what I believe is about to take place. As a result, we'll keep track of everything. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you've stuck with me this far, I'd want to point out the unusual Bloom event that happened 28 days ago. This video is not sponsored by anyone. I merely wanted to recognize them. 20 days till the event, go purchase tickets if you have the time and the option, then from October 14th to October 15th, get $175 off per night on hotel rooms. I've been in discussions with them regarding this event. Therefore, I just want to support these guys as they host this event where there will undoubtedly be a large number of Cardano participants. Judging from all the firms, sponsors, and speakers, it will undoubtedly be a pretty cool event. We are unable to attend, but I still want to show my support for the team and for all of you in the Cardano community, so I wanted to quickly thank everyone for their support. If you're not already a subscriber, please click the like button. In the following video, I'll see you.